He needed help at 35,000 feet, but ended up saving someone else's life. Welcome to People's Journal Stories. Before we begin this powerful story of hidden trauma, unexpected compassion, and the weight of invisible wounds, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And if you believe stories like this need to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure they are. Flight 347 from Boston to Denver was running smoothly at 35,000 feet when everything changed. The Boeing 737 carried 148 passengers through clear skies, most absorbed in books, laptops, or the in-flight entertainment system. It was the kind of routine Tuesday evening flight that airlines love. On time, no weather issues, no mechanical problems. Robert Hayes sat in 14C, middle seat, trying to make himself as small as possible. At 52, the former Marine had learned to navigate civilian life by staying invisible, taking up minimal space, avoiding attention. He'd booked the cheapest fare available, which meant middle seat in economy, squeezed between a businessman typing aggressively on his laptop and a college student wearing oversized headphones. Robert kept his breathing steady, his hands folded, his eyes focused on the safety card he'd memorized within minutes of boarding. Flying had never been easy for him, not since 2004, not since the helicopter crash in Fallujah that had ended his military career and left him with scars that weren't visible to most people. The turbulence started small. Just a gentle bump, the kind that makes people look up from their devices for a moment before returning to their screens. Robert's knuckles whitened as he gripped the armrests. The businessman next to him didn't notice. Neither did the student. Flight attendant Maria Santos was serving drinks 3 rows ahead, moving efficiently through her routine. Another bump, slightly stronger this time. The businessman glanced up briefly, then returned to his screen. But Robert's breathing had already changed. Shorter, more controlled, like he was trying to manage something building inside. The third bump came with a slight rolling motion that made a few passengers look around nervously. Coffee sloshed in cups. A phone slipped from someone's hand. For Robert, each movement of the aircraft was like a countdown. His hands were gripping the armrests so tightly now that his fingers had gone white. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool cabin air. Then came the severe turbulence. A sudden jarring shake that sent drinks spilling and overhead bins rattling. The aircraft bucked and rolled as it hit an unexpected air pocket, causing several passengers to gasp. The captain's voice came over the intercom, calm and professional. "Folks, we're experiencing some unexpected weather. Please return to your seats and ensure your seatbelts are fastened." For most passengers, it was an inconvenience. For Robert Hayes, it was a trigger. Robert's breathing became shallow, rapid. His vision began to tunnel. The sounds of the aircraft, the engine hum, the air conditioning, the murmur of concerned passengers, transformed into something else entirely. The whine of rotors, radio chatter, the smell of jet fuel and burning metal. He was no longer in seat 14C. He was in a Black Hawk helicopter over Iraq, watching tracer rounds cut through the night sky. "Sir? Sir, are you all right?" The voice seemed to come from far away. Robert blinked, trying to focus. A flight attendant was leaning over him, Maria, according to her name tag. But Robert saw a Navy corpsman, bloodied hands reaching toward him. Can't breathe," Robert gasped, his voice barely audible over the rushing sound in his ears. The businessman looked up from his laptop, annoyed. "What's wrong with him?" Robert tried to answer, but his chest felt crushed. The airplane's cabin had shrunk to the size of a helicopter's cargo bay. He could smell smoke, hear screaming, feel the aircraft spinning out of control. "Sir, I need you to breathe with me," Maria said, her training kicking in. She'd dealt with panic attacks before, though never quite like this. "Look at me. Focus on my voice." But Robert couldn't focus. He was back in the desert, feeling the helicopter's violent shuddering, watching his squad leader's face disappear in a flash of fire and metal. He tried to unbuckle his seatbelt, needed to move, needed to escape. "Hey!" The businessman grabbed Robert's arm roughly. "Get it together, man. You're disturbing everyone." The college student pulled off her headphones, staring. Other passengers were turning around, some concerned, others irritated that their flight was being disrupted by what looked like an unstable passenger. I need to get out," Robert mumbled, struggling against his seatbelt. His hands were shaking uncontrollably now, and sweat poured down his face despite the cool cabin air. Maria knelt in the aisle beside him, her voice calm but firm. "Sir, we're going to help you, but I need you to stay in your seat. Can you tell me your name?" "Hayes," Robert managed. "Robert Hayes." The plane hit another pocket of turbulence, sending Maria grabbing for the seat back to steady herself. For Robert, it was another explosion, another crash, another moment when everything went wrong. As Maria tried to calm Robert, she noticed something that made her pause. His shirt sleeve had ridden up during his struggle with the seatbelt, revealing part of a tattoo on his forearm. Not decorative ink, but military marking. She could make out USMC and what looked like a date, 2001 to 2008. Maria's perspective shifted immediately. Her younger brother had served 2 tours in Afghanistan and came home with his own invisible wounds. She recognized the signs now. This wasn't just fear of flying or claustrophobia. This was something deeper, older, more complex. "Mr. Hayes," she said quietly, leaning closer so other passengers couldn't hear. "Were you military?" Robert's breathing was still labored, but her question penetrated the fog of his panic. He nodded, unable to speak. "What branch?" "Marines," he whispered. "Force Recon." Maria's expression softened. Force Reconnaissance, elite special operations. Her brother had told her about them, the Marines who went into the most dangerous situations first. "Where did you serve?" "Iraq, Afghanistan, 2 tours each." The plane shuddered again, and Robert's grip on the armrests tightened. Maria made a decision that would change the entire flight. She stood and addressed the passengers in nearby rows, her voice carrying authority. "Ladies and gentlemen, I need everyone to lower their voices and give this gentleman some space. This is Master Sergeant Robert Hayes, United States Marine Corps, who served 4 combat tours defending our freedom. He's experiencing something that's not uncommon among our veterans, and he deserves our respect and patience." The businessman who had grabbed Robert's arm looked suddenly ashamed. The college student quietly moved to an empty seat across the aisle, giving Robert more room. Other passengers stopped staring and turned away, not out of discomfort, but out of respect. Maria knelt beside Robert again. "Sergeant Hayes, I'm going to help you through this. My brother's a veteran, too. Can you focus on my voice? 5 minutes of CPR." Robert's own trauma forgotten, his panic attack completely overridden by the singular focus of keeping another human being alive. Sweat dripped down his face from the physical exertion, but his compressions never wavered. "I've got AED," Maria announced, rushing back with the automated external defibrillator. "Good. Clear everyone back," Robert commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had made life-and-death decisions in combat zones. "No one touches him when I charge this." The passengers pressed back, watching in stunned silence as Robert attached the defibrillator pads with practiced efficiency. His hands, which had been shaking uncontrollably 20 minutes ago, were now steady as a surgeon's. "Analyzing rhythm," the machine announced. "Everyone clear," Robert called out. "Shock advised, press flashing button." Robert pressed the button. The man's body convulsed as electricity coursed through his heart, then stillness. Robert immediately resumed compressions. "Come on, stay with me." 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Then, miraculously, the man coughed. His eyes fluttered open, confused and disoriented, but alive. The cabin erupted in spontaneous applause, but Robert just checked the man's pulse, his breathing, his color. "Sir, can you hear me?" Robert asked gently. "You've had a cardiac event, but you're stable now. Paramedics will meet us when we land." The man nodded weakly, unable to speak but clearly conscious and responsive. Maria knelt beside Robert. "That was incredible. Where did you learn to do that?" "Marine Corps," Robert said simply, sitting back on his heels. "You do what needs doing." Only then did he realize something remarkable. His panic attack was completely gone. The shaking, the sweating, the crushing feeling in his chest, all of it had vanished the moment he'd focused on saving someone else. As the plane prepared for priority landing in Kansas City, Robert returned to his seat. The businessman beside him looked at him with new eyes. "That was amazing what you did up there. Steve said quietly. I had no idea. No reason you would, Robert replied. Emma, the college student, leaned across the aisle. Are you okay, though? Earlier, you seemed. Robert considered his answer. Some days are harder than others. Today started hard, but ended better. The captain's voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the quick actions of a passenger with medical training, we've successfully stabilized our medical emergency. Paramedics are standing by in Kansas City. As they descended, Maria approached Robert's row. The man you saved, his name is Thomas Morrison. He wanted me to thank you. Just glad he's okay. Robert, Maria said, using his first name for the first time. What you did up there, that took incredible courage, especially after what you were going through earlier. Robert looked out the window at the lights of Kansas City growing larger below them. Funny thing about panic attacks, he said, they disappear when someone else needs you more than you need to be afraid. The landing was smooth. As paramedics boarded and wheeled Thomas Morrison away, conscious, stable, and alive, he managed to clasp Robert's hand. Thank you, he whispered. Robert simply nodded. 6 months later, Robert received a letter at his Denver address. Thomas Morrison had made a full recovery and wanted to invite Robert to his granddaughter's wedding. I want her to meet the man who gave me the chance to walk her down the aisle, he wrote. Robert attended the wedding. During his speech, Thomas told the gathered family about the Marine who had saved his life at 35,000 feet, who had put aside his own struggles to help a stranger. Heroes, Thomas said, aren't people who never fall down. They're people who get back up when someone else needs them too. After the reception, Robert found himself talking to several other veterans in attendance. Thomas's brother-in-law from Vietnam, a young woman back from Iraq, an older man who'd served in Korea. For the first time since his own trauma, Robert didn't feel alone with his struggles. And he realized something profound. Sometimes healing comes not from being saved, but from saving others. He still had difficult flights sometimes, but now he knew that his worst moments could become someone else's miracle, and that knowledge made all the difference. Robert Hayes never expected to save a life on Flight 347. He just wanted to get from Boston to Denver without falling apart. But sometimes our greatest strength emerges from our deepest struggles, and our ability to help others can heal wounds we didn't know could be mended. In that moment when Thomas Morrison collapsed, Robert discovered that trauma doesn't have to define us. Our response to others' need can redefine us instead. Have you ever found strength you didn't know you had when someone else needed help? Share your story in the comments. Tell us about the times when helping others helped heal you. Because here at People's Journal Stories, we believe that heroes aren't born in perfect moments. They're forged in the furnace of their own struggles and revealed when others need them most. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it. Help us spread stories that show how our wounds can become sources of strength for others. And remember, your worst day might be someone else's miracle waiting to happen. Robert Hayes never wanted special treatment. He never wanted attention. All he wanted was to fly from Boston to Denver without falling apart. But sometimes, when we're at our most vulnerable, we discover that humanity is more compassionate than we dared to hope. Maria Santos didn't just follow her training that day. She followed her heart, choosing to educate rather than isolate, to build understanding rather than maintain order. Have you ever witnessed someone having a difficult moment and discovered there was more to their story than you initially realized? Share it in the comments. Tell us about the times when compassion changed everything. Because here at People's Journal Stories, we believe that everyone carries invisible battles, and the smallest acts of understanding can make the difference between despair and hope. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, subscribe and share it. Help us make sure these voices are never forgotten. And the next time you see someone struggling, in an airplane, in a store, anywhere, remember Robert Hayes. You might be witnessing someone fighting a war that ended years ago, but whose echoes still thunder in quiet moments.